Hello, friends and family. I know that the background here is really whited out. I apologize for that. However, I was very limited today in where and how to set this up. Like you should see my setup here. I literally have like a little coffee table thing, a little side table actually thing, not coffee table, side table, with files stacked on top of that for manuscripts I'm reading for Dad. And then I have 2 laptops on top of those, then 2 children's workbooks on top of those, and then a novel, and then a candle, like a jar candle. And then I have the pop socket on the back of my phone pulled out and like resting inside the jar to like support the phone, because I can't get to like one of the holders because they're both in my daughter's bedrooms and they are asleep. And I don't like for people to be awake when I do this. In fact, that's actually why I haven't already done this. So what happened was, I made a video and completed it, and I really wanted to be confident about what I was saying and feel like I knew what direction I was going in and what I was going to say, and so I actually wrote out a script, okay? And then the video was awful. It was so bad. Like, I was like stiff and awkward and just looked like I was reading from a script. So I decided, well, that's not what I'm going to do. But then I'd run out of time. So, and I can only do this on the weekends because that's the only time I'm alone. So then last weekend, though that didn't hold true, last weekend I wasn't alone. I literally did not have a moment last weekend when I was alone. So, so that made it impossible to do it last weekend. Gosh, I've already spent 2 minutes talking about this. Anyway, so yeah, so here I am. It's another weekend. It's Sunday morning. It's the 13th, I think. And I finally have a moment when I'm alone. My makeup is on. I have on halfway decent, cleanish clothing. And I have a few minutes to talk. This week has been a pretty good week. Kids came back to school. So I got to meet my students face to face. I actually start to get to know them. You see Oscar Kitty back there? Kiki. No. So that was nice. I got to spend more time getting to know my parapro, who was fabulous and amazing. Millie, shout outs to you. I don't think I'd be able to do this job without you. Seriously. So it was a good week. But there are things that I want to talk about. So that video I made that was so stiff and awkward and formal, what I was really trying to talk about there is proving the existence of white privilege. So the thing is, you know, and we're still going to talk about this, but you know, since I made that video, thinking about it, it almost feels a little bit hopeless. I feel like the only people who are going to watch this and listen to it and care about what I have to say already agree with me, and the people who don't agree with me really aren't going to pay attention at all, or are going to dismiss what I have to say. And that's difficult to kind of come to terms with, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I have to try. So, part of why I got to really thinking about this and so forth, I'm sorry, Oscar is very, very into this video right now. There were some articles that I saw that I thought were really interesting and really relevant, with some studies that have been done. So one of the first ones that I saw had to do with mortality rates of infants. They did a study looking at millions of live births, and I will link everything that I talk about today. I'll try to learn how to link in the description below. I've never done that before. I'm assuming it can't be that hard. So the conclusion of the study was interesting and disturbing. Basically, the way that it works out is if your baby is white, then congratulations, you don't have to worry about the race of your doctor. Because if your baby is black, having a white doctor dramatically increases the likelihood of that baby not surviving. Now, if they have a black doctor, they're far more likely to be okay. On the other hand, if your baby is white, the race of the doctor doesn't have any impact on their mortality, on their ability to survive. This is the very definition of white privilege. White privilege simply means that the color of your skin is not one of the things making your life harder. And this is a situation where literally the color of the baby's skin makes their ability to be alive, period, harder. That is the very definition of white privilege. White privilege does not mean needing to feel guilty about your race. White privilege does not mean that you aren't a good person. White privilege doesn't mean that you haven't suffered, that you haven't had a hard time. And you can have moments where life has been made harder because of your race, if you're white. You can have individual things that have happened or aspects of your life that have been directly influenced for a period of time. But it's not a systemic, okay? In other words, through every area and aspect of your life, it is not a systemic, permanent problem. There's a difference there. There's a difference between me having to learn when I became a teacher in a school setting where I, for the first time in my life, was a minority. Okay? I was the white lady in the room full of non-white people. And that caused some problems for me for a little while in that one area of my life. It was not systemic. It did not impact every area of my life. And it was not a permanent problem. It was a temporary problem impacting one portion of my life. That is the difference. Here's another example. There was a study done that shows that, on the whole, white people perceive black children very differently from white children. So we're starting off with infancy. Now let's talk about childhood. Starting at about the age of 10, white people tend to view black children, when I said tend to. I'm not saying every white person ever. But yeah, I'm probably mean you. I'm just saying, like, woo. But tend to see black children as not having the fundamental innocence that they ascribe to white children. Not only that, but they tend to misidentify their age by about 3.5 years. This means by the time a child is 14, they're being seen as a grown adult. I have 2 grandsons. I love them both. I worry about them both for different reasons. You know, I can't always protect and manage and keep them from every possible harm. I can't. But I worry about different things with them because one of my grandsons is white and one of my grandsons is black. They have different problems that they're facing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that being black is a problem. I'm saying that white people are a problem when you're black. There's a difference. People look at my grandson and they're like, oh, he's so cute. Oh. He's 5. How are they going to view him when he's 12? When he's 15? When he's 20? Or even when he's just 10? I worry a lot. If that's not a worry that you have, guess what you're getting to enjoy and experience right now? Yeah. The last article I want to talk about was one that was done in Massachusetts. A study done in Massachusetts. A judge there asked some researchers from Harvard to try to determine what the differences were in the incarceration rates between white and black prisoners, and why the incarceration rates, say that 20 times, incarceration rates were so much higher for black individuals, black men especially. And they did a lot of research looking at millions of cases. And there was really only one conclusion they could come to, and that it was racism. And if you want to sit here and argue with that with me, do me a favor, at least read the article first. Okay? Don't come at me and you haven't even read the article. Because I don't have any patience with that. If you're going to have an opinion, can you at least bother to have an educated opinion, please? Okay, that was rude. I would really appreciate it if you brought me your intelligent, well thought out opinions. Thanks. Anyway, white privilege is a thing. Sorry, it is. I know you don't want it to be. I know that it makes you feel uncomfortable and icky. I know that it brings up problems with cognitive dissonance. I know that it's just not fun. I know that it takes away your sense of entitlement and privilege. And guess what? That doesn't mean that you didn't suffer. You still suffered. You still had a hard time. Nobody is saying that. You didn't. We're saying there's a problem, a systemic problem, facing a large portion of our citizens, of humanity, and it needs to be addressed. And I'm saying that for the sake of my daughter, for the sake of my grandson, for the sake of my daughter-in-law, for the sake of so many others who I love and who are part of this family, I'm going to continue not keeping my mouth shut about it. My only regret is that it took having those people in my family for it to matter to me like it does. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope it wasn't too horrible. And if you have any, questions, thoughts, gripes, complaints, observations about the universe, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have ideas for other videos you want me to do, feel free to leave those as well. Be kind to each other, love each other, and be safe and be happy. Mwah. Bye-bye, y'all.